precise grooves and rabbets. There are 19 drawers here. 17 of those drawers ride on these grooves that are cut in the side. Then there are guides that fit in here, and those guides themselves are in the grooves. So we'd have to be able to make precision grooves, right?
But the drawers, that's right, Nick, the drawers are the easy setup.
Oh, okay, the easy setup.
All the drawers are designed so it's the same distance from the bottom are the drawer guides in the sides.
In the sides, because the sides have to be precisely positioned in order to hold the drawer.
Precisely positioned, plus they're positioned for different size drawers.
Okay.
Which adds another level of complexity to it.
All right. Let's see the drawer guides.
These drawer guides, you can see them in here, very thin, small pieces. They're 1/8 of an inch thick, and they're 5/32 deep. 5/64 of that is cut into the wood.
Why 5/64?
Well, that's about 1/3 of a 1/4 of an inch. These drawer guides have to go in the center section here, here, and here, have to go halfway through the wood. So I don't want to take out too much wood.
You got to have some wood in between.
If you divide 1/4 of an inch by 3, you end up with 0.08333, which isn't a fraction, isn't easy to measure, and it's close to 5/64 of an inch. So 5/64 from this side, 5/64 from this side, leaves me 3/32 in the middle.
Okay. All right. So let's get set up to make these grooves. What do we do first now?
Well, first thing I've got to do is set the depth of cut on the router
at 5/64.
At 5/64. And get this out of the way.
Make sure it holds together here.
Be a tragedy to drop it. Now this router, we're going to use this tiny little spiral router bit. This router bit is spiral so that it cuts very cleanly, but it's also just what we call a down spiral, even though it's going up in this direction.
What does the down spiral? Just an ordinary 1/8 of an inch bit wouldn't do.
When the down spiral is cutting, it's rotating in this direction. It's actually pushing the fibers down as it's cutting, so it leaves a very sharp, accurate edge on the router, or on the routed groove on the wood.
As well as cleaning out the sawdust as it goes.
That's right. It just pushes. It's running so fast, it just pushes the sawdust out the groove.
Okay.
The easiest way to set this up I find is with the router, the gauge on the router itself. Locking handle over on this side.
Okay.
It can.
You just rotate the bottom to adjust the depth.
Right. Now, I need to adjust the depth. I need to start with at 0 depth of cut.
Yeah, you've got one of those cute little 4-inch sterrets too.
Yeah, this handy little tool. Now I keep raising the bit, lowering the base until I just touch the...
Just brushing it.
And then lock down and secure the lock on the router.
All right, so there's 0.
The router has a nice little feature under it.
Let's get this here so everybody can see.
See this line?
Mm-hmm.
I've got it. This line right here lines up with this ring, and you can turn the ring until it reads 0. Each one of those little marks on there is 1.
That's pretty easy.
Now you can see just how little that 5/64 is. Now just for make sure change. The depth of cut is set at 5/64.
Now we need to worry about the location of the grooves themselves.
And that's going to be controlled by this fence.
Okay.
Well, the secret is, once again, zeroing the fence.
So you bring it
I
right.
bring it right up until it touches the fence. Now, I use the dial indicator with the with 1 inch travel on it, and combine that with 3 blocks.
All right. Well, wait a minute. Okay. How tall are the sides on that case?
They're 13.5 inches.
So you've got to move this back and forth over 13 inches, right, in order to...
Not really. I've got the drawing dimensioned from both ends. So really, I only have to move it about 6 1/4 inches.
Well, you only have an inch of travel, though, on the dial indicator.
That's where these blocks come in. These are very precisely made. This one is 1 inch by 2 inches exactly. This one is 2 inches by 3 inches exactly. And this one is 3 inches by 4 inches exactly. I've finished the edges all the way around. It's plywood covered with plastic laminate. It's about as stable as it gets in woodworking.
So those are like machinist's 1, 2, 3 blocks.
Very similar. That's where I got the idea. Now what I do is I use these blocks. I can line them up in different configurations to get 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches.
All in 1 inch increments.
All in 1 inch increments.
And then use the dial indicator for the fractions.
That's it exactly. What I'm doing here is zeroing it. The fence is zeroed against the bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm filling the space between the fence and the dial indicator, and then I'll turn the dial indicator until it is also zeroed. Now I'm holding the dial indicator away from the blocks. That gets the spring action of the indicator pushing away from the blocks, and everything stays very accurate that way.
That's how you take up the slop, because there's about 2, 3, 4 thousandths of slop in the slot.
Yeah, about 4 thousandths difference between the bar and the miter gauge slot.
Okay.
So now we're zeroed. Now we're zeroed here on the indicator. My first cut is 1 3/8 inches from the top end of the side.
Okay.
So in order to move the fence exactly 1 3/8 inches, I take out the 1 inch block, and that takes the 1 3/8 of an inch is 0.375. Every revolution of the 100,000, so it's going to take 3 revolutions.
Me too.
And take away a little gap, and I'm within 1/1000th of an inch. Okay. Now that's the right distance for the first groove from the top of my sides. I've marked each of the sides, top and bottom. I've marked the outside surface so that I can see it while I'm cutting. That way, all my grooves are going to be on the bottom of the board.
Okay.
Ready to make the first cut?
Okay.
Turn on my switch. helps hold the board down and keeps me safe. Now you can see how smooth that cut is. There's no tear out.
There's no feathers at all.
No, that's the advantage of that type of up or down cut spiral router bed.
All right. Now what's the next one?
The next one is 2 7/8 inches from the other end.
From the other end. Okay.
The difference is 1.5 inches.
1 3/8 minus, or 2 7/8 minus 1 3/8.
1.5 inches. So I need to move the fence 1.5 inches.
Okay.
Now, I've got a 4-inch block in here, and I've got a 2-inch block in here, and I've got a 1-inch block sitting over there. So I'm going to take out, I need to move it 1.5 inches. So I need 1 inch worth of block removed. I'm going to take out the 2, put in the 1, and then move the fence 5. I think you're within 1/1000 of an inch there.
You're having a lot better luck with this thing than I do. 2 thousandths off.
Oh, okay. Now we're going to cut this on the opposite end, the bottom side.
Making sure or making sure we always see the.
That's right. Ready?
Ready? Keep going like that until we cut all the grooves. We're gonna take questions again on this section on how to set up the router precisely, both the fence and the depth of cut. Jim and I are gonna walk over to the laptop here in a minute, and we'll see you over there. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. That's it for routing here. We got some questions.
Let's see how long that took. What's the difference between up and down spiral bit?
What's the difference between an up and down spiral bit?
Well, it's the direction of the spiral, obviously. The advantages of one over the other, the spiral bit cuts smoother generally, whether it's upcut or downcut, than a straight flute bit. The upcut spiral was the first one developed, and it cuts very nicely, but it tends to leave feathering and a fuzzy surface on the cut right here where you're making your cut, the upcut or the downcut spiral bit, the spirals are going down into the wood as the router bit turns, which forces the fiber against the wood instead of pulling it out of the wood, and gives you a nice, smooth, clean cut all the way down. Those are the differences. I have just, with this project, discovered the downcut spiral. The only one I own is the 1/8" bit I showed you, and I'm going to buy a full set of them here as soon as I have need for them.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen the results of a downcut spiral, and I'm pretty impressed. I have a set of upcut spirals because I like they pull the sawdust up out of the groove. But hey, I'll clean out the groove a little bit, stop and blow it out for this kind of clean cut.
Well, with the speed of the router bit, unless you're making a rather small restricted mortise, I don't think you've got any problem with clogging of the cut either.
Yeah. Got another question for us.
Yes.
You want to see? He wants to see how to set up the router table. Okay.
Let me walk back into the shop. I'll be right with you.
Well, let's. Drew's going to put the camera on Jim here in a minute. It's a pretty neat setup, actually.
Okay. The router table is set up. It's basically suspended between the fixed extension table and the main work table. It gives you a 4-leg support by doing it that way, and a very stable, solid surface. It gives you a little bit more table out in front too to support bigger pieces of stock. Now, if that's a problem, you can always use these connecting tubes that I've tied this together with. You can always let them stick out and put the legs down, telescoping legs down, and support the table that way.
You can also use our extension table with that, can't you, too?
Yeah, you can build out even more out in front.
Or to the sides with the extension table.
Yes, you could. But then I also used a foot switch to give me 2 hands on. That way I can turn the router motor on with the foot switch and then keep both hands on the workpiece. We sell these too. It's part number 522408.
Little safety tip, guys. If you're using a foot switch, and the foot switch itself is a safety device because, as Jim says, you get both hands on your work. But remember to turn the router switch off when you're changing bits.
Right. And also, this is a momentary on type of foot switch where you put your foot on it, and every time you remove the foot from the switch, it goes off. It's not a turn on, and then you have to go back and turn it off. Another safety issue, if you do have a problem, as soon as you step back from that problem, the router motor goes off. The foot switch comes with a double plug on it, and to use this, you just plug the router motor into the double plug and plug this into the wall. That's the setup on the router table.
Got anything else? A what? Couldn't see the setup? Okay, I tell you what. If we go in, and I tell you what I'm going to do, guys. Jim's going to go back into there, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to pan. I'm going to come up real close on it, and I'm going to pan, and we'll see how the setup is. Oh, it's frozen. Let me get close. There we go. Now that's the auxiliary table right there. And then if we pan over here, you'll see the saw table, and the actual router table is above that. Now I'm going to come in close, and Jim.
Now, they're all tied together. All three tables are tied together with these internal support tubes.
Okay.
And by locking the knobs down, that locks all the tables together onto those tubes and lines everything up so that everything is flat and true and smooth and even.
Right. I'm going to come in a little bit, and Jim, I'm going to ask Jim to please lift out the router. Yeah, now that's pretty cool because you can get the router out to change bits, and also let me come in real close on those leveling screws because that's a nice feature too. You can use these leveling screws to make sure your router is absolutely, here we go, level with the table. That's pretty helpful. Okay.
Now, I also, a little hint, I've put 2 paint dots here on the table surface.
See if I can get up close on those. Yep.
That way, this symmetrical table can go in either way. But with these 2 paint dots, or these 4 paint dots on the table and the insert, it shows me it can only go in one way.
That way. See, if he would put it in backwards, it wouldn't be level anymore.
Right. The other thing you'll notice, I've got the magnetic scale on the table here, but it's on the main work table, but it's not on the router table. I bought this router table before we came out with the magnetic scales, and I just haven't upgraded it.
Yeah,
one of the other questions was, can I use the magnetic scales to set the fence position? And the answer is yes, you can, but it's only as accurate as you can read. Using the 1, 2, 3 box and the dial indicator and all that I showed you gives you the ultimate accuracy. But the router tables we make today that you would buy and order today will have the front rail on it so that you can use the magnetic scales on your from your 520 system.
What? Yeah. Okay. Let me get back here. Have we got any other questions on the routing section? Folks, we're coming up hard against the clock here, so we're going to have to cut out the section on doing the cove cuts for the raised panel. Jim, actually, we've cut out about a half to a third of what Jim brought us, so we're going to have Jim back on another Sawdust session soon and pick those up. I completely underestimated the amount of time that it would take to show all this good stuff. But let's get on with the last one, and we're
finger joints.
Finger joints, right? Yeah, number.